Hello and thank you for joining me today. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how to draw a robin. It's that time of year when some of you might be thinking about doing a robin painting, and I've done paintings before of robins in previous Christmases, but I've not really talked about the actual drawing because that's the most important first step, looking at those proportions and the shape of the bird and getting that drawing down first. So I'm just going to go through the real basic shapes that we've got here. And I'm going to do it in pen so that it shows up to you, but of course you'll be doing this much more lightly in pencil so that you could paint on and put your colours on afterwards. So if we look at him, this is a picture I've got of Pixabay, and he's really puffed himself out. To keep himself warm, he's puffed his feathers out. So this part of his body here really is a circle. We've got another little oval shape of his head, and then we've got obviously the tail and the two wings on top of that. So with your pencil, if you start by getting a nice big circle. Now of course if you're not confident about drawing circles freehand, you could always draw around something, but the best way is just to get your arm moving. Like I say, you'll have a pencil, you won't be doing this in pen, but get your arm moving and do a nice big circle shape. And that's this centerpiece here, and then look at the size of the head in relation to that great big circle, and it's quite small and it's angled about there somewhere, and it's not a circle, it's more of an oval. So let's just pop his head up there somewhere, and again you're going to be doing this in pencil so you can come back and get rid of these guidelines afterwards. And then what we need to do there, if we look at this, is just join those two up. So that's a very quick start to a bird, and this, you can do this with lots of songbirds. And if we look at this line here, we're going straight down more or less. It's dipping in a little bit, and you can get rid of some of these lines that you've got in your pencil. So look now at the length of his tail here, and the length of his tail, if we just measure it there, is similar to that length of the top of his back and about halfway down here. So it's going to end up about here somewhere. So just compare things and look at where it's lining up. So it's coming off his back and down to about here, and it's sort of in two segments. But to begin with, you can just put the lines there and get the general feel of the area it's going to be. And then his wing is coming across that, and we've got a shape going this way. So if you don't look at each individual feather at the moment, we're just looking at shapes. So get that shape there, which is coming down onto the tail, across, and see where it lines up. So it lines up underneath the edge of his head here, and that's where the top of the wing is, sorry, the bottom, and the top's about here somewhere. So we've got this sort of more or less an oblong shape with this piece taken out of the centre there, and then the other wing is coming off about here somewhere, down and around, and we're not seeing all of that, we're just seeing the tip of it, and it's lining up again, it's lining up across here. You're not going to have that line there, you're going to be rubbing all these lines out from your pencil. Okay, so that's how you're going to start it, just those basic shapes, your circle, your oval, fasten the head to the body, pop in the tail, and of course depending on the photograph you're using or where the robin's sitting, that might be at quite a different shape. He might have his tail further out. At the moment he's got it quite down, he's relaxing, and then you're going to come in afterwards and look again at these lines and just double check them. So we can see the back of his leg here just through that feather. So actually all this down here is feather and fluff, and the sun shining through it. His actual body is under here, so a lot of this is feather. So his foot's coming along here, and then grabbing around this branch that he's on. So always put them on something, don't have him floating in thin air. Follow those lines right round to where they'll be. Actually I'm just looking, I've not got that foot far enough apart, it's about that, we're seeing more of this leg, so it wants to be there. And of course when you're doing this in pencil you can alter all the time, double check, move things, measure things, and then start looking at the detail once you've got that basic shape. So now we need to put his eye in, and if we look at the line of his eye goes straight down to just before his foot, and that gives us a good indication of where it's at. And then if you go across from his eye, his beak's about here somewhere. He's got that sort of shape above it. And then he looks quite grumpy. Got a line coming down there and then out. And it's not a huge beak. So the bottom half of the beak has got the curve going that way and the top half that way. And then you can see the underside of his beak as well, also with a curve that way. And that makes him slightly less grumpy once we get that on. And we need the shape around his eye. We've got a lighter part and then we can fill in. Obviously you'll be doing this with paint, but just to make him look a bit more alive, I'm going to just fill in his eye. Okay, so then you can start and put the detail in. So that's all we need to begin with. Your circle, the wings, the tail, position his legs. Let's put a branch in there. He looks silly, like he's sat on a branch. Okay, and then so when you come to then refine that shape, you can then start and look at the actual angles. So if you look here above his beak, it goes up a little bit and then across, and you're seeing sort of the front of his head a little bit there as well. So that's the dip in his skull there where it's going down. And then around. So that's when we can start and really build things up and look at the shapes. And with this one, it's quite tricky because of where the sun is. So it's looking really nice here where we've got the sun shining on. So that's what you're going to come back later and do that with your colours. And then you can actually indicate with your pencil where your colours are going to be. So your red comes along here to about here somewhere, and then around and down his breast. So that's about the area of the red that's going to be going in. So you can see that there again, following that circle down. And then the blue, because it's quite a bright blue actually on the robin. I mean, we think of it as grey, but he's got these very blue bits on him. I think probably because it's a sunny day, it's looking more blue, it's shining on him. And that's in that area there. And then all of this is more or less brown. And then you can start and think about putting the shape of the feathers in, because when you come to paint it, you want your paintbrush to be going in the direction of his feathers. This wants to come down a little bit more. So just making things a bit more realistic, taking the edges off those oblongy shapes and smoothing everything out. And then of course when we come down here, you want to get it very feathery. So at this point you want to be getting rid of some of your pencil lines, rubbing them out and neatening him up and making more detail. Okay, so I don't need to carry on with that. I just wanted to show you the basic drawing shapes, the little tip of drawing that circle to begin with, and it's a very easy way to get your little bird started. And it doesn't have to be a robin, it can be any little songbird. It's a good way to start with those two circles, the circle of the body and the little oval of his head, and then join the two together. And he's very, very round and fat. But that, like I say, that's because he's puffed out. You could do him a bit thinner if you wanted. And when you come to put your paint on, can you see here, we've actually got the shape of his, I'll just put the pen on and actually go around that. His little body is actually fitting into there. If we look underneath, all of this is just feather with the light shining through, which he's doing to warm himself up. So that's why he's looking fatter and bigger than he should be. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. I know it's quite a quick little video today, but I really did want to just talk through the drawing, because often we talk about the painting and the colours, which is all very nice, putting your colours on, but the drawing is the foundation and you need to get that right to begin with. So do it in pencil, rub out those lines that are wrong, keep the lines that have worked, and just build it up from there. So thank you very much for watching. I'll be back again soon with another video. Don't forget you can subscribe below if you haven't already subscribed. Bye for now, and I'll see you again soon.